You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Right, and welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. It is underneath the Fantasy Football Friday Night Lights, the Bet Set Snap Championship Week edition. I'm Derek, and joined as always by your co-host, Kevin. Kevin, how are we doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Another Merry Christmas to everybody tuning in. Hopefully, your time with your friends and family has been enjoyable, and that you guys are able to take a break, right? Be able to take a step back away from work, hopefully, and really just enjoy people, right? Enjoy your time with your loved ones. So, I know I had a really good day with my wife and kids. We enjoyed our Christmas very much. I know out of the 3 football games that were on, I saw about 2 of them. I kind of paid attention to the Vikings-Lions game. We were talking about this. And watched it set football back like 10 years. That game was so bad. So I didn't see any of the Cowboys game. We were doing gifts and playing games and just kind of hanging out at that point in time. But then I sat down and watched all the Broncos games. So, mixed bag. Really no major performers as far as fantasy goes in those 3 games. Some real duds, though. If you had Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb, you were not very happy with the performances that you got out of those guys. Another dud from Jefferson, but that was kind of expected. Travis Kelce, not so much. Cortland Sutton was flex-ish worthy, depending on how the rest of the weekend shakes out. But the big guys, there was not any big time performances by any star power type player. So we're going to see how this goes. Terry McLaurin and Debo, those guys, wide receiver 3 type territory.
Right.
It just wasn't pretty. So unless you had the Vikings defense and you got to cash in on all those turnovers, I didn't even look to see what the Lions defense did, but they had plenty of sacks. So they got points from the sacks and everything else, but it just, it was not a great fantasy performance through 3 games. So hopefully the main slate, we got a couple games on Saturday and then the main slate on Sunday and then a Monday night game even. So we're still got plenty of days left of football here. So hopefully it shakes out in everyone's favor.
Right. So yeah, definitely it's always an interesting deal when you're playing championship week, and it's one of those that you start you get Thursday to start agonizing over decisions, to then get into Saturday, to then agonize over decisions into Sunday, to then agonize over to the decisions into Monday, and what do you need on Monday to bring home a ship? So definitely an interesting layout and rollout on these for sure. But yeah, it's certainly hope everybody had a good time over the holiday there, and now it is time to set our sights here towards the weekend and see what we can do on rock and rolling and bringing some things home for some people. But you're right. Yeah, if you were banking on people to show up, show out, and get the job done here over the for those Thursday games, really kind of disappointed for a lot of folks out there. I mean, I was actually looking it up while you were talking. The Viking or the Lions managed to get to 7 points on the defensive side of things, so not overly great.
No, still under projection.
Mm-hmm. And which is amazing considering, the defense really didn't do that bad. It was the offense giving the ball up in
droves.
Droves.
Up in droves.
Yes.
So Pickens might be the only guy who came close to projections.
Yeah.
And Dak did okay. Right. The long touchdown to Turpin helped, right? That 86, 87 yard or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
That helped. So I think Dak probably got there. Pickens was close to hitting, at least with his projected total was on your site.
Yeah,
Outside
Bo
of that,
Nix had an all right game. Like he managed to get there with the 2 touchdowns and the rushing yards on that. Managed to get close, get kind of around that 20 points, right? So you're not hating things if you had to start him. Bill,
can't make up my mind on the Broncos.
right?
Like they are literally 2 plays away from being 15-1.
Mm-hmm.
And yet,
Goals even.
yeah, and yet I am not convinced that they're a good football team. Like this is crazy. Like I don't know. I don't know what to think about this Broncos team and what is going to happen in the playoffs. I think as long as they're home, I think they got a real shot. Like, and I know that their last home game, they got the break speed off of them by Jacksonville, but you figure at least the home crowd and being able to give that defense as much of an edge as possible helps them. But holy smokes, if the Broncos have to go on the road anywhere, I don't see it working out well for them. I don't think Bo Nix is going to handle road playoff games extremely well.
No, I would agree with that. And yeah, it was interesting too, right? Because they did manage to put together and sustain a couple of really long drives in that game last night, right? Like,
Yeah, it's 3 of them, right? 3
yep.
really long drives.
And they managed to get down there, punch the ball, and like all of that kind of stuff, and just it was one of those that they also made a couple of silly mistakes that just let the Chiefs back in the game, hang around, keep hanging around. Like,
Yeah.
Again, this
Those
is
first half field goals, right, is what about got them. 14
right.
play drive and was the second one a 14 or a 16 play drive, but whatever it was, and both of them ending in field goals, it
Right.
about got them. Like Kansas City's defense was gassed by the end of the game. The Broncos dominated the time of possession and the number of plays ran. But you can't have those long drives. If you're going to dink and dunk your way down the field and keep the defense on and everything, you can't settle for 3. You got to find ways to get the ball in the end zone. And a couple of those play calls by Sean Payton were just atrocious. Absolutely atrocious play calling. And yeah, Bo Nix being able to get off script is probably actually what helped them as opposed to following Sean Payton's play calling.
Right. Well, and some of the calls and a couple of things that are kind of circulating through the socials out there from an officiating standpoint, highly questionable. And in a couple of the different games that I saw, you had the false start on Powers that
Was not a false start
it
for
didn't move.
breathing.
Yeah, didn't move until he had a guy in his lap, or the PI on Surtain. That was I'm a big proponent of the ball has to be at least in the vicinity of catchable for it to be pass interference. Like that one
Yeah, I
still
think it was 15 yards away. That wasn't going to matter. And just the sheer fact that there was one penalty called against Kansas City the entire game.
right.
One, you're going to hit the Broncos up for a cheap PI and everything. And you're telling me with all that time of possession and with this tired, well, I guess 2 penalties because the offsides at the end. And you're finally you're going to get Kansas City 2 penalties for 10 yards when their defense was gassed. There's no way they're playing defense that efficient.
Clean. Yeah.
So yeah, I was not happy as I texted our group. Like I was like, what in the world is this crap?
Right. Well, there was a couple of false starts in the other games as well that I saw a thing where they're making the rounds on social saying that it's scripted because you got a guy in an NFL hat basically on the sidelines on one of those basically calling false start and then making the hand signals for false start and then 5 seconds later false start on the on the play, right? Like some of these things you just makes you wonder. Makes you sit there and go, why? Like, what is going on? So the guys just should buy a lottery ticket. But yeah, we were talking about some of the guys that that maybe had a tougher time, or a bunch of guys not hitting projections. If you had to start Bill yesterday, you're pretty happy with that performance, right? Like if you were in a desperation mode and you had to throw in old Jacroy Krosky Merritt coming through with 22.5 points from a guy that you're probably throwing out there as a desperation play because of needing an RB2 due to some injury, or flex play because of some injuries, and definitely delivered for you. Granted, most of it came on a total of 2 plays, but you'll take it for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, absolutely. He answered the call on championship week, and at this point, right, you don't care how you get the points, you just want to secure the points, and Derek's absolutely right. If you had a desperation shot because of injury or whatever, and you had to start him as your RB2 or your flex, you are feeling good about your opportunity coming into this weekend.
Absolutely. So before we start kind of diving into the chat, any other news, notes, anything that you want to hit up here before we start diving in there?
I think the only thing that comes to mind is some news that broke today about the Max Crosby incident in Vegas is really the only thing that comes to mind. So if you're not aware, the Raiders, having practice today on a Friday, and they called Max Crosby into coach's office and everything else, and they told him, hey, we want to shut you down here for the last 2 weeks of the season. And Max Crosby left the facility, right? We don't know how aggressive the conversation got yet, right? They're probably going to try and keep that in-house. We don't know exactly what was said other than the Raiders saying, hey, we want to shut you down. What the tone was behind it or whatever. But what we do know is Max Crosby lives to compete, right? Like I like Max Crosby a lot. And I know the Raiders are, a rival, but so be it. Like Max Crosby's a good football player. Max Crosby is a high motor, don't ever give up, gonna do what I can for my teammates type of guy. And he is a guy that I think there are 31 other teams who would love to have him in their room. And the Raiders, for whatever reason, that part I have not seen yet, are whether they are or aren't going to shut him down. The report read that they wanted to. We'll see how this plays out. So it bears a little bit only because this weekend the Giants and Raiders play each other for potentially the number 1 overall draft pick in April's NFL draft. So I don't know how motivated either coach is going to be, or how motivated either GM is going to make the coach to win this game. Right? Like there's a couple teams there all with the bad record, and it could mean the difference between first and like 6th. So this is going to be a terrible football game. I think the Giants win the game because I don't think you're going to get Jackson Dart to stop. Like you're going to have to pull Dart from the game if you don't want the Giants to win. Because I think his just demeanor right now as a rookie and trying to get better and to prove himself and to keep going, I think he's going to want to compete and to will his team to a victory. And he doesn't care about the draft pick. He doesn't care about some unnamed player that the organization may want to bring in. He wants that group of guys to be able to trust him. And for that reason, I mean, I haven't looked at any lines for that game, but I'd bet pretty heavily on the Giants because of Jackson Dart alone.
And at that point, that could be one of those that you're playing for self-preservation as well, right? Because number one, right, if you're the Giants, what are you going to do? Right? Are you going to try and trade that pick away? Are you going to pick somebody else? Yeah, right now the consensus number one pick looks like the Heisman winner, but right, like what do they do in that situation if they're number one on the board? And yeah, has Jackson Dart shown enough? Whoever you bring in for the head coach, like what does all of this look like? And so it could be like Lovie Smith a couple of years ago in Houston, right? Like it goes out, wins the final game, and moves them from the one seat, like the number one pick, into the number two pick. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see how that game brings. But yeah, so little things like that are going to keep creeping up here over the next, what is it,
Right.
10 days basically until the season ends. So as far as news and notes go, Derek, that's really the only thing that I've seen come across that's at least worth bringing up.
Right. Well, I found it kind of interesting that right, because it broke pretty quick after kind of everything came out there, and a lot of different people picked up and ran with that one that Max left the facility after being told that he's being shut down. It doesn't even really look like the Raiders tried to spin it or anything else like that. I saw a couple of reports where Pete Carroll came out also acknowledging that Max left the facility after the after that after being told that they were planning on shutting him down. So several different ways they could have tried to spin that or play that off, or what that looks like. But Vegas right now is actually favored in that game, 2.5-point favorites. So
I'd take the Giants to cover that.
yeah, I think I would too. Like that just seems they must be looking at something different out there in Vegas than some of our thoughts for sure. So yeah, I'm with you. I think that Jackson Dart will find a way to try and make it where they are. The Giants aren't staring down a number one pick for to potentially try and bring in his replacement. So,
Max Crosby.
but it's also one of those that I find it interesting when teams are like, okay, we're going to shut you down. They've already been out of playoff contention for a while. Some of these guys are already playing. We've been playing with injuries all year, and now it's we're going to go ahead and kind of shut you down. Same thing with a lot of these teams. All of a sudden, you saw guys that you had kind of battled through injuries all year, and now all of a sudden, we're on the IR and season's done.
Yeah. So for 2026, Max Crosby has $5 million coming in from a prorated salary bonus that the team can't get out of. 782,000 per game roster bonus. Okay, fine. And then a guaranteed salary of 30 million. So it's a $35 million cap hit for 1 year. And then the next 3 seasons after that, there's no guaranteed money. So if I'm Max Crosby at 28 years old, soon to be 29 at some point, are you asking out?
Maybe.
I mean, you can essentially be a mercenary at that point because no guaranteed deal, or you go, look, trade me somewhere, and whichever team you trade to, you balance out the salary a little bit, like, and try and help it out. But realistically, after next year, it's still 29.7, 27.8, and then 28.2. Like, he's not a cheap player.
No. Well, he
But
just signed the big deal with 91 million of it guaranteed, right? Like
right, and
signed that
yeah,
earlier this year. So, I mean, even if you played 2026, from what I'm looking at, it looks like really the kind of the potential out is around 2028, where there's no zero, or where there's zero dead cap money tied up into that one. So, I mean, you can certainly see what that looks like, right? You take the you got all the you've got the money. Do you then go out and start trying to just hunt to bring home a ring?
I don't know. We'll see how hurt and I don't mean this lightly, but how feelings are hurt, right? Because this is the type of stuff that will ripple into next season.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how it shakes out for Max Crosby and the Raiders, but I would not be surprised if he says, you know what, I would like to request a trade. Like I'm done. This is how you guys are going to do me. Send me somewhere where I can win.
Yeah.
Which is understandable, but I mean, I don't know that I'd love to see that. Only for
Right.
the fact of there's a lot of teams. There's some teams got a lot of cap space.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cap space. And the Raiders are one of them. I mean, but whatever. The Titans have 84 million. Or no, Titans have 105 million. 105.8. Chargers have 101.6. Jets, Commanders, even the Rams. Rams have a ton of cap space. The Seahawks. You're telling me that the Seahawks, like, keep them on the West Coast, just flip conferences? Max Crosby at Seattle would be a big difference maker. Big time. The Patriots, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, 47 million. It's not nearly as much as some of the teams above him, but still, it's a lot of cap to play with
Right.
when you're messing around with some of these things. And then time will change, but we'll see how this looks because the Cowboys and Chiefs are both $48 million over the salary cap.
Right.
And the Cowboys are thinking how they're going to sign George Pickens. I don't know. We'll see.
Right. But it'll be right. And so a lot of things that we'll see play out this offseason, right? This week as well. It could be interesting here to see. Like, there's a good chance that there's a whole lot of the suspense that you typically see in the last week could very well just kind of be puttered out there going into the depending upon how the games play out this week. Because, for instance, if the Texans beat the Chargers, the Broncos have now clinched the AFC West, and and just they win next week, then it's you're talking one seed with the Patriots. But there's a lot of things that a lot of these different playoff scenarios could already be factored in, set, and not even that much jockeying for position with some of these seedings as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We'll see how that shakes out.
right. So I'm sure we'll have some more thoughts on that on Tuesday when we get there. But um, anything else we want to touch on here before we start diving into the chat?
Now let's go ahead and get into it.
All right. So Jason over on YouTube saying finals weeks, let's end it right, boys. Absolutely. Cash and trophies. That's what the march is for. Jason saying best start this week. Tyler Warren, Tongs if Kittle's out, Barner, Schultz, already starting Nico, Waller, Mayer.
So I like Tonks if Kittle's out. After that, I like Dalton Schultz. And then Darren Waller is kind of how I would do that. Rivers just isn't using Tyler Warren a whole bunch, so I'm kind of fading away from that. Tyler Warren's a great prospect. I think that he'll have a very good career. See how quickly Daniel Jones can come back, or what the Colts are going to do in that quarterback position here going forward. But for championship week, I know it seems a little weird, but the Niners and Bears are both fighting for a lot, and Tongs has stepped in and done a very good job for George Kittle in earlier this season in some absences. So I think there's no reason why we can't expect that again. So I would be leaning Tongs over Schultz slightly.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that, and in that order as well. Tongs if Kittle's out, then Schultz, then Waller. If Kittle plays, then it goes Schultz, then Waller. Right. But I would agree with that as well. I don't know that there's really much more to add on that one. Jason saying start 2 between Rico, Pollard, Estime, Shakir, Burden, Kyle Williams, no Mac, and no Booty. So Rico and Pollard is kind of how I'm feeling on this one.
I'd definitely go on Pollard.
Ride
Kyle
the hot
Williams
hand.
is yeah, I'm riding the hot hand. Kyle Williams is interesting, right? Rico has a tougher matchup this week going up against Seattle. So if you want to shy away from that, I think Kyle Williams could see quite a few targets coming his way. For New England with no Mac and no Keyshawn Booty. So that's interesting for me. Rico's probably the safer choice, but Kyle Williams, I think, probably gives you that mid level of success there. And then, yeah, I think I'd stay away from Burden. Definitely don't want Audric Estime. Khalil Shakir against the Eagles is interesting, but I think you're looking at you're 5 for 65. Like, you know what you're getting with Shakir.
Yeah.
5 for 65, maybe a touchdown, maybe not. So Pollard for sure. I would lean Kyle Williams ever so slightly, but again, if anybody really wants to play Rico, wheels up. It's all good.
Alrighty. Jason saying if Kittle is out, who is the best start, Tongs or Barner?
Tongs.
Yep, cosign. Jason asking to start 2 between Kyron, Carter, and Hampton.
Kyron and Hampton.
Yeah, I would agree. As much as Carter seems like a good play on that one, I don't know that I want to risk my championship week for the Arizona run game. And we were talking about this on the Tuesday show. It wouldn't surprise me if there's 80 total pass attempts in that Arizona versus Cincinnati game. Like, I could see both Jacoby and Joe touching 40 pass attempts apiece. So, Kyron and Hampton for sure. Jason asking if London is out, who is the best start between Mooney, Kyle Williams, Coker, or Burden? I don't mind the Kyle Williams or the Coker in that point. I don't want Burden. Mooney is not a real option on that Atlanta team, whether London's in there or not. Like, Kirk Cousins just doesn't really look for him. I think Kyle Pitts will be the beneficiary if London's out.
I'd agree. Where the Rams struggle on defensively is receivers with size. Drake London has that. Kyle Pitts has that. Darnell Mooney does not have that. So if London's out, which I don't think he is, I believe London is going to play. But if London is out, I would lean Kyle Williams first, Jalen Coker second.
Yeah, I could see that one. It's almost a toss up between Coker and Williams, but I like the upside that Williams has a little bit more so, especially with Booty and Boutte and Mac being out. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, sir.
Frosty saying, hope that y'all had a jolly Xmas. Need 3 out of Hendo, Ramadre, Burden, Pitts, Woody, full point PPR. Thanks.
I think it's Henderson, Ramondre, and Pitts. As much as I don't want to start both running backs from New England, I don't think Burden's going to get you there. He doesn't have nearly the upside that either one of those 3 guys does. Woody Marks can't stay healthy. He just cannot stay healthy. And
Right.
The last thing you need in a championship week when you have options like this is to have him, go down because of a tickle in his toe or something like that. But I'm going to get risk adverse here, and I'm going to play Ramondre and Travion Henderson, and then back that around with Kyle Pitts and call it good.
I mean, this one's an interesting right? Because Henderson still hasn't cleared concussion protocol. He was able to practice without the non-contact jersey on today, but you're talking about he still has to clear concussion protocol, right? Like
That's step
the
4, so we'll see how he feels tomorrow, right? They'll
right.
evaluate him one more time tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a good sign that he played
Right.
without the contact jersey today. That is step 4 of the concussion protocol, and there are 5 steps. So step 5 is the reevaluation after a full practice and seeing how the player responds.
Right. So, I mean, signs would start pointing in the right direction there on that one, but that is still a risk that you're going to have to very much keep an eye on and be very aware of on what that looks like. Especially with games going on tomorrow as well. Like, yes, I get that Henderson isn't playing tomorrow. That Patriots game takes place on Sunday, but you potentially lose out on a couple of other pivots that you could try and maybe pick up off the waiver wire to plug and chug in there. So, and with Woody playing tomorrow as well, that also limits things on that as well, right? So, if you're going to go Henderson, Ramadre, and Pitts, which is what I would lean on as well, by the time you get word on Henderson and Riffy's really cleared concussion protocol, Woody's game may have already tipped off or already
And I'm
kicked off.
dropping Luther Burden and finding another option.
That's where I was going to go as well. So it sounds like we're on the same page. But
Mhm.
just wanted to kind of play that one out for, anybody that maybe hadn't looked at the schedule or hadn't kind of thought that through. So Frosty, it sounds like Kevin and I are both aligned here. We're going Henderson. We're going with Madre. We're going with Pitts. Same thought process there. I'm not a big fan of that having to start both Patriots, but I think that you're going to get more out of that. Woody Marks being questionable going into this game does make me a bit on the nervous side on that one, especially from the standpoint that he's kind of missed a few things here and there. I mean, and that Houston run attack has not been very good. But I get that Woody Marks was removed from the injury report today, but again, it's coming off of anyway, kind of beating the horse here. But yeah, I think we've gone through that one well enough. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, sir.
All right. Frosty saying also Pitts just popped up on the injury report, and guys like Woody play tomorrow, so I don't know if I wait.
I think Pitts is going to play.
Yeah,
I didn't see anything out of the Kyle Pitts injury that made me question that. It was just it's due diligence. Like he could turn around and be listed as questionable if he has the sniffles. Like
right.
sorry, I'm trying to
Yeah, no, I because I'm trying
see
to
what
see it
this
as well, and
is.
I having a tough time trying to find why Kyle Pitts is truly questionable.
Knee soreness.
Okay.
There could have just been a little bit of swelling after Thursday's practice. Again, the fact that there's no real news about it to me means that it was precautionary more so than just about anything else. So
Yeah.
I would count on Pitts.
Yeah. So and Frosty, I'll also say this as well to kind of set that. So I'm still thinking the Henderson, Ramadre, and Pitts side of things. If you are, at this time it is still your team to manage, and if depending upon what those injury reports look like tomorrow, right? If you're really feeling not happy about it and you feel strongly about going Woody, you can do that. I just would still lean the Henderson, Ramadre, and Pitts side of things. Any other thoughts on this one?
Yes, sir.
Tyler over on YouTube saying Jacobs or Emmanuel Wilson, Strange, Schultz, or Tongs.
It's Jacobs, unless for some reason he's held out of this game.
Right.
And then obviously the pivot is Emmanuel Wilson. And then for me, I think I would go Tongs. I wouldn't be opposed if you wanted to go Strange. Against the Colts, that's a pretty in the middle of their defense is a pretty good matchup for tight ends. So I think you'll see quite a bit of work coming Strange's way, and then Schultz. So I would go Tongs, Strange, and Schultz in that order. But if you like Strange over Tongs, I think the two are going to be pretty comparable. So I'm not going to give you any grief for that.
Okay. And yes, it's Jacobs unless ruled out, then you pivot to Emmanuel Wilson. But if Jacobs is playing and things are pointing towards him playing this week, it is leaning on the Jacobs side of things. Yeah, and I think I'm right there with you with the Strange and Tongs side of things, right? Like that is kind of 6-1, half dozen of another for me on those two. But I do think that Kittle's going to find a way to play in this one. And if Kittle plays, then it's Strange for me. So, any other thoughts on that one? Our Dean over on YouTube saying hi. Well, hello. Tyler chiming in saying know that Burden is healthy. Burden or Devontae Smith.
Devonta Smith.
Correct. Like,
And
no other thoughts.
That one for me is not even close. Devonta Smith's been active enough in this Eagles offense that I am not taking the off chance that Luther Burden has his coming out party on championship week. Like I'm going to stick with the guy who got me there. And Devonta Smith has been steady as a very reliable wide receiver in your lineup here for the vast majority of the season. So I'm not turning away from that now.
Right. Like I'd put probably Devontae Smith back end wide receiver 2 this week. Burden, I don't know if he even gets into wide receiver 4 range for me. Like, so Kevin was saying that they're not close in his book. They're worlds apart in mine. So I'll take the Devontae Smith and be very willing to be wrong if Burden blows up is how I'm looking at that one. Binkings saying, yo, thoughts on that, thoughts on Mayfield and that offense.
They don't have as much of that Cohen offense as they thought they did without him. Is all I can think of, right? Like Baker looked really good through 6 weeks, and then not so much. And even with a full cast of injuries, or now that he has his full complement of receivers after dealing with all the injuries, it still just doesn't look good. Bucky Irving is apparently I say this tongue in cheek, but he's a head case, right? Like there's some mental health issues going on there that the reports are really starting to creep out. So it's a 3-headed backfield at best. Like they're actively taking Bucky Irving out of goal line situations to put in Sean Tucker, which blows. Mike Evans is the only piece of that offense that I really want right now. But they've just kind of fallen through. Offensive line isn't holding up as well. Baker's forcing the ball a little bit. Like he's never been a big like stay on script all the time quarterback, right? He does like to move around and try and buy a little time and hit the big play, and it just isn't happening for him. So they need this one in the worst way, because if Seattle can beat Carolina, it puts the division back up for grabs next week. So, but if Tampa loses, their season is donezo. So I would expect a better performance out of it now that their backs are truly against the wall. But I'm not trusting anybody except Mike Evans if they have a Tampa Bay helmet on.
Yeah, I mean, which is which
so
is too bad.
different than last year, right?
Yes.
Like that offense was so good last year, even
Mhm.
after Godwin went down. Baker Mayfield did such an awesome job, and we really thought that bringing in Puka on would just continue to make this offense elite, elite,
Right.
elite, right? Three like tremendous receivers, a really good run game with Bucky. Um, Tristan Wirfs is still one of the, if not the best left tackle in football right now. So they have so many of these pieces put together, but it is on the offense. Like the defense has been good enough. The offense needs to find ways to sustain drives and get points up on the board, and it's just not happening.
But it was really about the time that that Lincoln and the Jaguars started going is when you started seeing the Bucks start having issues, right? Like it's kind of a yeah interesting correlation to look through and see that. But yeah, I'm at a bit of a loss on this Buccaneers offense and what's really going on and why the offense looks the way that it does. So we'll kind of see what they do here this week, next week, and over the offseason to see what our thoughts are of that Bucks offense heading into next year. Any other thoughts on this one? All right. Ice Marty over on YouTube, full point PPR. I'm down after they played Dak, and I had Javante and Pickens. Got a couple Purdy or T Law, Schultz or Tyler Warren, Devonta Smith or London, Jags, Chargers, Packers defense. That is one.
I'm going, man, Purdy or T Law. Lawrence has the hot hand. So I would go Purdy, but I'm not going to shame you if you really have a gut instinct that says start Trevor Lawrence. But I think I would go Purdy personally. As far as tight end goes, I'm playing Dalton Schultz. I'm playing Drake London over Devonta Smith, and I'm playing the Chargers defense. Only because Houston offensively is not very dynamic. So I'm playing the Chargers defense in hopes for just a really low scoring kind of gritty type game.
I could see that. I would. The hot hand would tell you to roll with Trevor Lawrence on this one, right? Like QB2 since week 5 of fantasy, right?
Crazy.
Like he has been just on fire coming down the stretch here. The Brock Purdy side of it, though, it does have a much better matchup going up against the Bears, right? Like I like the matchup side for Purdy. I do think that Trevor Lawrence is and that Jags offense is just cooking and on fire right now. So I like both, and if you feel strongly for either one, it is 6 of one, half dozen of another for me. I think I probably lean Trevor Lawrence just because of that heater that he's been on. But as Kevin said, right, Kevin went with the Purdy side. I wouldn't argue that hard if somebody told me that they wanted to put Purdy in. So it were kind of a little bit two sides of the same coin there, but you can rock and roll that how you feel. Dalton Schultz, Tyler Warren. It's Dalton Schultz, and it's not close for me. Devonta Smith, London. It's not close for me either on that one. I don't mind the Jags defense there, but I do like Kevin's thoughts there about the Chargers and that their matchup against Houston. I'd probably lean that Chargers side of things. You never know with Jacksonville and what Phillip Rivers version of Indy you're gonna get. Are you gonna get the Phillip Rivers the drops back and has 17, 18 pass attempts all game and they decide not to use Jonathan Taylor again, or you're gonna get kind of what we saw at the start of last week where he comes out, rips it all over the yard and starts putting up points. So but yeah, I think I'd lean the Chargers side of that one. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, sir.
William E on YouTube saying they need to do a lottery style, sick of tanking teams. the
I don't
lottery. Go ahead.
agree with that, but I don't know that the lottery necessarily works. Like,
No,
how many we've done, so we've had this NBA lottery for a long time now, but how often have we really questioned the validity of that NBA lottery?
more than
Like,
once.
yeah, right. Like, there's been more than a number of questions about, well, does this NBA lottery really work out, or is there always a coincidence that the Mavs can end up with Flag after they traded away Luca because of the lottery pick that they were given? Like, I don't know. Like, there's got to be a way, or a better way maybe, but I'm not sure that the lottery itself does that. Like, it's a hard solution, or it's a hard problem to have a solution for. But at the moment, this is what we're doing, and you have 5 or 6 teams all with 2 losses or 2 wins, 3 wins, whatever, and they're all kind of jockeying for the top spots here in the draft. So
Right. And yeah, it's interesting too, right? Because how often do we see a team, right? You brought up the NBA, the NHL also does a lottery type of draft in there as well. How often do we see a team that ends up with the number one pick, number two pick, whatever, massively change their fortunes and write it out and are now a playoff team the following year in any of the sort? It doesn't happen a ton, right? Like it happens once in a while, but generally those teams that end up with those picks are need more help, right? And but we've seen this in the NFL that there is such parity in this league that you can see teams that go get the number one pick or the number two pick, and the following year they're a playoff team. 2 years later, they're a following team or they're a playoff team, right? Like I don't tend to see that as much in the NBA. You have a lot of teams that are constantly picking in the top five, and they seem to perpetually pick in the top five in those scenarios, right? Think back to Houston a couple of years ago, right? They went out, drafted CJ Stroud, drafted, and then made a trade to draft Will Anderson, and they were a playoff team that year, right? They went from picking two, and they literally won their last game the year prior. That I'm pretty sure is what cost Lovey the job for the following year to move from number one to picking number two, and then they're a playoff team that year, right? Same thing happened with Trevor Lawrence when he came into Jacksonville, right? They were picking number one, and then they moved into within a year or two they were a playoff team, right? Chicago, same type of thing. They were number one, and they're playing to win the division at this point, right? Like with the NFL, I feel like there's far more parity in these leagues, and you see teams go from the bottom to the top and vice versa so much that putting a lottery pick into play where a team could inevitably move from a 14th pick up to the number one pick, like I don't know. I don't see the benefit of it. Now for the NBA, when 2/3 of the league also make the playoffs, yeah, you're really dealing with the bottom deal there. But I don't know.
NFL could make it worse,
It could,
right?
and far
Because you could
worse.
have these teams that are, instead of trying to fight and trying to get, they're all trying to get better, but instead of trying to fight and do whatever, like you can see a lot of these mid-tier teams that are just having down seasons and everything else just completely give up for more of a lottery.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, we throw one extra game, like, and I don't know, like, pros and cons,
Right.
pros and cons for each side. But I think with there only being 17 games, the NFL doesn't need a lottery.
No.
Like, you the bad teams are bad. Like, no one's arguing that these bad teams are bad. Like, the Giants and the Raiders and the Browns have no the Jets, like they have no business. Like they're not sniffing the playoffs. They're bad football teams. Yes, injuries have not helped a couple of those units, but I mean, there's nothing there that I find egregious, like the Commanders, right? The Commanders are not they had a really bad year. They fell back down to earth in the worst way, and the injuries didn't help them. This is all understandable, right? The Vikings. The Vikings, not perennial, but they've been fighting for playoff spots and doing all these things for Minnesota for years now, and it's the quarterback position. Show me your quarterback, and I'll give you the odds of making the playoffs. And all those teams don't have a Pro Bowl level quarterback. Jackson Dart, we're waiting to see how he pans out.
Right.
Other than that, Tennessee, no. Cam Ward might be the worst number 1 overall pick since Jamarcus Russell.
It's
Cam
a bold
Ward's
statement,
terrible.
but
Cam Ward's terrible. Like, and here's the deal. Mendoza, if he goes 1 overall, he's going to be in that exact same boat. Same thing with Pavia. You couldn't pay me to take some of these quarterbacks coming out. Like they're no way suited for the NFL. So I digress. We got way off track here, but
right. Well, and the other thing too to keep in mind with the NFL, right? Like it's a 53-man roster. The NBA, there's 15 guys in there, right? So when you start getting into this point and you're eliminated, the wonderful thing about the NFL is you start seeing these guys start giving reps and game time reps, meaningful snaps to guys that may have been practice squad guys most of the year, may have been the third string guys, like actually bringing guys into it, giving them far more so that they see what they've got and start making plans towards the future as well. Very rarely, even these teams that are most NBA teams do what 8, 9, maybe like super deep teams will do 10-man rotations, and very rarely do you see these other guys get meaningful minutes on the floor. Not only that, the bad teams in the NFL, the number of one-loss teams that there are, or one possession losses that take place, and how much that changes from year to year. Like that's the bad teams in the NHL or the NBA are not bad because they lost all their games by 2 or 3 points or 1 goal type of things. They lost it by, oftentimes a lot of different avenues. Not that 1 or 2 plays change the outcome of the game for them considerably. So anyway, yes, you're right. We are way down a rabbit hole on this one. Any other thoughts before we move on? Binking's giving us some fire emojis. Love it. Chris over on YouTube, gentlemen, if Brittle doesn't go Sunday night, who should I start, Barner or Loveland? Full point PPR.
Loveland.
Yeah, I would agree. Barner's got some upside to it, but I think Loveland's got a little bit better ceiling and a little bit better floor on that as well. Any other thoughts? All right. Tyler over on YouTube, Free Crosby, the Raiders have always stunk.
Since the mid-'80s, yeah.
Yeah, it's been rough. Minus like 2 seasons in the early 2000s.
The Rich Gannon years.
Yes. Jordan over on YouTube. Yo, what's up, good old boys? Hope you had a good holiday. It was good, and hope you had a merry holiday there as well. ER does. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but we'll just go with ER. New here, sorry, but I've gone way too deep in injuries, weather, everything. Saints or Chargers defense this week. I have too much info at this point. Paralysis by analysis is a real thing.
Saints.
Yeah, I would agree there as well. Playing Tennessee, playing the matchup for sure. Any other thoughts on this one?
No. No.
All right. Let's get it over on YouTube. Fellas, half point PPR. Need 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, 1 QB, 1 tight end. Myers, Brian Thomas Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr., Parker Washington, Tucker, Stafford, Purdy, Hendy, Marks, Taysom Hill, Andrews.
Okay.
I'm playing Stafford as my QB. Riding the hot hand there. Although I do like Purdy's matchup better. And I just talked myself into Purdy. So there's my QB. Thoughts on QB for you?
I think see, I thought you were right with Stafford.
I mean, I could go either way.
Give me the
all right.
Give me the climate controlled factor of
Of
Mercedes
the dome.
Benz in
Yeah,
Atlanta.
okay.
Like I get it that it's a road game,
Right.
but I think I like that. Ultimately, you're right though. It's a coin flip. Like I think both guys could very easily end up with about 20 points.
On looking at it, who's more like, and this is where I sat there and I started looking at it and changed my opinion, and now I'm going to change back to think on Stafford as well. Who's the guy that's most likely to get 300 yards and 3 touchdowns at Stafford?
Stafford.
And I want that in championship week, right? Purdy's going to give you, I think, very safe, consistent floor, better matchup to it. But you're right, it's championship week. Let's go out there and get the points. And Stafford certainly provides a better ceiling on that. So, all right, now that I've flip flopped twice on QB, what about running backs, or what about wide receivers, tight ends, and the one flex?
So I think if Henderson is cleared, I think Henderson is your flex.
I would agree.
If Henderson is not cleared, I think you need to go with Myers.
I just don't know that I want 2 Jacksonville. Well, there's 3
Myers.
Jacksonville wide receivers there.
Yeah, if Henderson can't go, I don't like any other options. So if Henderson can't go, you're going Myers, Brian Thomas, and Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, I don't trust Tucker at all. I'd rather have Andrews at the tight end.
And I'd rather have Brian Thomas over Parker Washington.
So, all right.
Yeah, and then tight end, like it should be Mark Andrews, but I think it's Michael Myers. They got no one. They got to throw the ball to somebody.
Or
Bowers just getting put on IR, or that no.
Yeah, it's Taysom Hill or Andrews is how I'm reading that. I was reading that Jacoby Myers.
Yep. It can't be Jacoby and Michael Myers.
So it's Taysom Hill or Mark Andrews. Yeah.
Wolf.
Wolf is
Andrews.
right.
Andrews.
That's where I lean as well. I don't like either one of them, but that's where I'm leaning.
Yep.
So, yeah. So that was probably about as clear as mud. So we'll run through that real quick. So Stafford's QB, wide receivers. You were thinking that it's are you going Jacoby Myers, Brian Thomas, Marvin Harrison Jr. Between the two wide receivers?
If you're only playing 2 wide receivers, I'm going with Myers and Marvin Harrison.
Okay, and then Marks would be, I'm sorry, and then Hendy would be the flex, with Andrews being the tight end. If Hendy does not go, then it's Jacoby Myers, Brian Thomas Jr., and Marvin Harrison Jr. And I'm really not a fan of having to start two wide receivers out of the same passing attack, but that's where I would be leaning in that with that lineup. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, sir.
Ice Marty, Hunter Henry, Dalton Schultz, Tyler Warren, AJ Barner, pick one. I think I'm going to roll with Hunter Henry.
I think I'm going to roll Hunter Henry too, especially with Mac Hollins and Keyshawn Butte being out. I think Hunter Henry's could be due for a pretty large game.
Yeah, and Hunter Henry's one of Drake May's favorite targets, right? So I like that one. Dummy Man Pluto over on Twitch asking Jaguars, Chargers, or Texans defense. A lot of defense special teams calls tonight.
I think I'm taking the Texans.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I
Game has a
agree.
playoff vibe to it, right? Like the Texans
Mhm.
are leading that division. The Chargers are fighting because if the Chargers can pull off this win, then they're playing the Broncos for the division and potentially the number one overall seed. There's a lot on this game for the Chargers and Texans both. Ultimately, the Texans defense is just really stinking good, and that's where I want to be.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm gonna go with Texans as well. If that team is to do well, it's coming on their defense, and so I think we see them absolutely show up. So, yep, going with you on that one. I Smarty saying that they're down 17 now, right now in their matchup. That doesn't change my answer on the Hunter Henry, Dalton Schultz, Tyler Warren, AJ Barner. It's still Hunter Henry. Tyler, over on YouTube, thanks. So strange, Kittle hasn't been ruled out yet, right? No, Kittle has not been ruled out yet. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Kittle play. With what the Niners are fighting for, I think that we see him suit up and play in this one. But yeah, I'd be leaning strange if Kittle doesn't if Kittle doesn't play, then yeah, it's a coin flip between Strange and Tongs. If Kittle plays, it's absolutely Strange. Jordan over on YouTube saying that they don't like the lottery either. Make the bottom 4 teams play for it. That could be an interesting deal.
I like that. Play it like a
Right?
losers bracket in your fantasy league, right? The winner of the losers bracket gets the number one overall pick.
Right?
And then from there, you can come up with whatever tiebreakers you want for second through fourth.
Right.
But the winner of those 4 teams in a mini playoff is who gets the pick. I like that.
Right?
NFL should like it too. It's more games. They get to televise it.
Well, you could even do it. You could do it as a round robin, right? Like you could do it as a round robin, put the top 2 teams advance to play for the number 1 pick. So that gets you quite a few more games out of that one.
Yeah, I like that.
So, William over on YouTube saying, "Dang man, I'm a Raiders fan now. I'm hoping they lose."
Listen, that's kind of how it's looking this week, right? Like their
Right.
odds of that first overall pick are dramatically increased if they lose this game.
Absolutely. Binking saying favorite or highest scoring wide receiver this week.
Oh, Puka?
Yeah, has Devontae been ruled out on this one? If Devontae's out, Puka to the moon.
Yeah, I mean, I think Puka's up there. I think Jamar Chase is up there. You could make an argument for JSN,
Right?
but those 3 are clearly the 3 highest scoring wide receivers this week, in my opinion.
Right. Well, the other guys that would typically be kind of up there with CD, Amon-Ra, George Pickens, we've already seen those. Those results have already posted. So I think it's down to the kind of that 3-headed race between JSN, Chase, and Puka. And I would lean into the Puka or Chase side of things more so.
Dark horse,
Okay.
if you will, a semi dark horse, Mike Evans.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Like Mike Evans could still see, 135 and 3. Right? 7 grabs, 135 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like that is not a stat line that is unfamiliar to Mike Evans.
Right.
Now, a lot has to go right, so it's definitely a bit more of a dark horse. But if you're looking at it, trying to save a little bit of salary because you're doing some DFS plays here, I think Mike Evans gives you the most bang for your buck,
I like that.
or the most upside for your buck, I guess.
Well, and so, yeah, I would look at. I like the JSN side a little bit more than I did even a minute ago, right? Because Sam Darnold has a bunch of different incentives into his deal. Right, because if he gets to 4,000 yards, there's a bonus on that. If he gets 28 passing touchdowns, there's a bonus on that. If he gets to 67.5 completion percentage, there's a bonus on that. And then 100 passer rating, which he's already there. He just has to maintain, right? There's a bonus on that one there. So right now, Sam Darnold's 297 yards away from his 4,000 yards on the season. He's 4 touchdowns away from the 28 and an improvement of like 0.3 percentage points on completion percentage bonus there as well, which, by the way, if he does that, should also maintain the passer rating, which you could potentially see Seattle, depending upon what the playoffs and what the seeding looks like, you could see them kind of shut things down next week. But so Sam Darnold being that close to that could very well see them going out and trying to get that done, which I think that very much favors the JSN side of things. We were talking on dark horses. Stephon Diggs could be another dark horse, right? He's got he's a few catches and at about 131 yards away from a big incentive on his deal there as well. So I mean those very well could be some other incentive type of deals to look out for this weekend, right? And so that's kind of what I'm thinking there as well. But I would agree with you. I think your top 3 are Puka, Jamar Chase, and JSN. And looking at the JSN side of things and that Sam Darnold side of things, I kind of like that one. But I think Puka is going to be the number 1 guy when we look up at the end of this week. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, sir.
All right, let's get it. Saying Theo and Mayer are on the waivers as well. And that was back to this one for the tight ends between Taysom Hill, Andrews. Does Theo Johnson or Michael Mayer change your opinion on tight ends at all there?
Yeah. I think I'd rather have I would rather have Theo between the two. And I think I'd rather have Theo. I think I would play Theo.
I get it. It's
Right, like you need the touchdown, right? It's which one of these guys is most likely to get a touchdown. And when it comes down to it, the Las Vegas Raiders have the worst defense of any team that the other teams are playing. So
right.
take a team that does not have a predominant number 1 receiver in the Giants, a quarterback who is not afraid to throw it to the tight end as he's scrambling around looking for plays, Jackson Dart, and you pair him up against a bad defense, kind of equals Theo Johnson. I think that might be your best play.
Yep. Now, something to keep in mind, Theo Johnson did not practice today. He was a DNP, but he was healthy coming into it. Looks like it's an illness for it. So who knows?
Give him some IVs. He'll be all right.
Yeah, could have a little bug. If he's good to go, I like that call. But if he's not there, then it's kind of back to where we were at earlier. So something to keep an eye on over the course of tomorrow to see what that looks like for the injury report tomorrow. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I was unaware of the practice thing, but yeah, if Theo's going, I'm liking Theo.
Okay, awesome. Jordan, exactly. Jordan over on YouTube saying exactly. At least they still have to try basically extra playoff games. Absolutely, right. We've just solved the NFL's tanking problem right there. Yeah, we'll somebody write up the proposal and send it over there for him.
Right.
Binkings.
Give the games to ESPN. You give them all the crappy ones anyway. Or Netflix. Let Netflix and ESPN fight over the crappy games.
I mean, you'd easily generate a ton more money off of that one there. So, Binky saying Evans to the moon. Let's go. And that's who he was hoping you would say. So,
Yep, I got you.
all righty. Let's get it. Any worry about Hendy getting limited by his coach to Stevenson? It's always going to be a split backfield, I think.
I think so too. And the Jets have been so bad defensively that I think there's more than enough room to go around, right? The beauty about Henderson is he's a one-touch guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we've already seen it happen. It could happen again. Like he could only see 12 or 13 touches, but 13 touches, 87 yards and a touchdown spells RB2.
Right.
Like you can absolutely live with that. With where you're having to play him. So I think that both are absolutely in play against a really bad Jets defense right now.
I would agree. But yeah, one of those that even if Hendy does clear protocol tomorrow, your best case scenario, you're still dealing with the split backfield. So, but that was kind of what we called coming into the season as well. So, Pandeski over on Twitch saying injuries hitting my team late. Who would you flex from Dwaddle, Reed, or Taysom Hill?
Rico.
Yeah, that's not close for me.
Yeah, I'd pretty comfortably play Rico there.
Yeah. Yeah. I want zero part of Taysom Hill in my flex. So, and Reed in that Packers offense, it's going to be an interesting thing to see what they end up doing.
Malik Willis, right?
Yes.
Malik Willis is playing. We know Jordan Love's out. We forgot to mention that earlier.
Yep.
So we know Jordan Love is out, and it's Malik Willis. So I do not want any part of that passing game.
No. And depending upon what Josh Jacobs looks like as well, this could be a heavy Josh Jacobs day, or this might be one of those that they just kind of keep it. They try and limit Malik Willis's impact on the game and run the ball through. I see a very heavy Emmanuel Wilson and Josh Jacobs workload for this week.
Yeah, you can see 38 touches or more between the two of them.
Right. Yeah. Alrighty. Binking saying y'all building any DFS lineups this week? I'll probably dabble here in a bit. I haven't gotten that far into it.
I have not. I've been hanging out with the family and kind of doing that. So I've taken I kind of took DFS backseat here this week.
Yeah, that's probably be one of those Sunday morning wake up and see how I'm feeling and see if I feel like really entering one.
Yeah.
So, but I know that's your jam, Binkin. So if you've got some hot thoughts on that one, let us know. Alrighty. Well, and guys, if you have any other questions or any other comments, questions, concerns, throw those in the chat. Let's go ahead and get those chatted about and get those talked about here. Be sure that you hit the like and subscribe button. Help the channel out there. While we wait for any other thoughts to come in here, anything that you're particularly keeping an eye out this weekend when it comes to the slate of games?
It's the playoff matchups that really I'm kind of intrigued about. So it is San Francisco and Chicago. It is Philly and Buffalo. It is Carolina and Seattle, and then the Chargers and Houston. Like those are the games, right? Potential playoff matchups that I want to see how these teams prepare. I want to see what they're willing to put on tape against someone in many cases that they could turn around and end up facing here in just a couple weeks. Or is the seeding overriding what they're worried about their opponent seeing from them, and they just kind of bear it all out there and they'll work on wrinkles after the fact, which I think is going to be more of the case personally, but they don't pay me to be an NFL coach or coordinator. It's just armchair quarterbacking. So those games I'm interested in, and then on the flip side, there's just kind of some duds, right? This Giants Raiders game passed.
Yeah.
I'm not super interested in watching New England blow out the Jets. I'm not really interested in Cleveland Pittsburgh. I think Arizona and Cincinnati has some fantasy intrigue only because we do expect there to be a lot of points in this game. So I think that could be helpful for fantasy purposes. Um, I think this Miami Tampa Bay game is going to be pretty ugly. Like it just neither team's playing very well right now. So we'll see if Tampa Bay can figure it out and put themselves in position for a one final game for the division and potential playoff picture, or if they're going to continue to lay an egg like they have for the last couple weeks. So mixed bag, but there's definitely 4 or 5 games that I really want to tune into because I think it's going to be pretty close to playoff football that we're going to see in those matchups, and all these teams know what's at stake.
Right, for sure. Epic. So saying that they're in a big pickle. They really need some help. They got like 4 decisions. Start 3, half-point PPR. Bucky, Gainwell, Kyron, Henry, Corum. Next is start 1 between Strange and Barner. Next one is Saints D or Pats D. Well, the tight end one is a pretty slam dunk for me, Strange. So I'm just going to throw that one out there now. And then
so Strange.
Yep. And then on the defensive side of things, New England's a slam dunk for me on that one.
Yeah, I'd go New England too.
Okay.
So New England and Strange. So we could cut it in half.
There we go. So you've got the one decision left there between the start 3. So Gainwell, Bucky, Kyron, Henry, Corum. And this is a little bit of a tough one here. But you got any thoughts leading into this one?
I want to find a way to get Kenny Gainwell in that lineup. So I'm going to say Gainwell. It should be Derrick Henry. It really should be. But I just the benching at the end of the game last week and him not playing the fourth quarter gives me the Bucky's been super underperforming since he came back, but the matchup's really good against Miami. Like I understand why this is a tough one for you. And I don't want to start Kyron. I don't want to start Kyron and Corum.
Yeah, so it's one or the other.
It's one or the other.
I would rather take Kyron myself.
I think
between the two. Yeah.
I think shit.
Yeah, this is not a this one's a tough one.
Oh, and what's going on?
At this point, I think I'm going to run with Gainwell, Kyron, and Henry is what I think I'm leaning on in that one. Yes, the matchup with Bucky at Miami, that should be juicy. Again, that's with what they're doing at the running back position in Tampa Bay. This puts him more in a flex territory for me than I want to start him out there for my running back 2 even, or my running back 3. Kyron, I think Kyron's an easy running back 2 territory. I think Derrick Henry's are easy, inside the running back 2 territory. And I think Kenneth Gainwell can sneak into the running back 2 territory. Bucky, I think, is in that back end running back 2 to running back 3 territory. And so he's more of a flex play for me than that just sounds wrong to say for a guy that you probably took in the 2nd or 3rd round at this point and has had such high expectations for, but I just don't know that I want to trust my championship week to him. And Kenneth Gainwell has been super strong lately, and it's
a bunch of passes, right? Like what's Cleveland do well? They get after the quarterback. Myles Garrett gets after the quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, what does he do these days? He checks it down to running backs and the litany of tight ends that Pittsburgh has. So I think Gainwell's kind of the no-brainer. But yeah, I can get Kyron, Derrick Henry, and Kenny Gainwell. I think I'm agreeing with this. I think it gives you a big mix of floor and ceiling. You got some pass catching ability in there with Kyron and Gainwell. Obviously, Derrick Henry doesn't give you that, but Baltimore should be in control of this game with Malik Willis being the quarterback. So that means that they should be able to play keep away a little bit in the second half, provided Derrick Henry doesn't put the ball on the ground again.
Right. And actually, I think it's Tyler Huntley will be the quarterback in Baltimore.
So it's Huntley and Willis.
Yeah, Huntley. Yeah, I think it is Huntley and Willis facing off against each other. Boy, that's the matchup that they thought they were going to get when they made that schedule.
Right. Yeah. Give me Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Binking saying that awesome 9-game slate. Okay, and then Epic saying also need help at wide receiver. Start one between Parasol, Bourne. If Parasol does not go, Trey Tucker, A.D. Mitchell, Kyle Williams, Josh Downs. Woof. Trey Tucker's no go for me.
Yeah, I'd go Kyle Williams.
Correct.
And then I think you can take a shot on A.D. Mitchell.
Yeah, that's where I'd lean as well. I don't trust Ricky Parasol at this point.
He had a good game last week.
Yeah.
Finally. So I'm fine with starting him if he plays. If he doesn't, I think I'm going Kyle Williams first, and then A.D. Mitchell, then Josh Downs.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to Kendrick Bourne. Like, I think if the Parasol can't go, I think you're looking at a lot of Juwan Jennings and a crap ton of Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, I would agree. So Parasol could be interesting, but again, right, like he's very questionable coming into this game. He's missed a ton of time all season long.
Always seems to get hurt. Like he's very much in the Christian Watson, Woody Marks, Ricky Parasol. Like those guys, they get on the field, they play 15 snaps, and then they land weird and they're hurt again. Like it's very frustrating as a fantasy owner.
Right. So, and even on that big game that he had last week, didn't even see 60% of the snap share. Right.
No, he went down at the beginning of the game and then he went down at the end of the game. Like he did all that damage in like their 3rd through 6th drive.
Right. So, yeah, I have a hard time trusting championship week to that kind of situation. So, yeah, I would agree with you. I think it's Kyle Williams, A.D. Mitchell, Josh Downs, kind of in that order. Binkin saying that Bucky is scoring. Maybe. There is the possibility. There probably will be a touchdown scored and Bucky might fall into the end zone.
Well, my guess is he'll at least have one opportunity to score. The way this has gone and having to see him on my roster week in and week out this year was so frustrating. I am definitely not guaranteeing that, but I do think you're right. He'll have the opportunity to. It's just a matter of does he get it punched in or does he get tackled at the one and Mike Evans or Sean Tucker gets it?
Fair enough. Jordan saying battle of the backups.
Amen, brother. Amen. Kidding. That's what this late in the season is sometimes, especially since so many of these teams are going to this split running back approach, right? Like this is where the split running backs get hard in the playoffs. Is you can dance around it in the regular season, and ebbs and flows and everything else, but in the playoffs it's tough, and you really want bell cows like a Christian McCaffrey, like a James Cook, like a Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, even Javonte Williams didn't have a great game, and they kind of split, because he was hurt. Malik Davis got over 100 yards, like ebbs and flows. But yeah, a lot of split backfields here that we're dealing with. But I'd rather have that problem in the finals than not be in the finals at all.
Very true. Very true. Joe over on YouTube saying that they used up their Christmas wish to get to the finals. Any suggestions on thoughts or thoughts on voodoo and or witchcraft?
No, my dude, I didn't get any of my Christmas wishes answered when it came to fantasy. So
Yeah.
I got nothing for you on that one. But again, getting to the finals in itself is a really big deal, guys. Like when you start out across the leagues and everything else, there's only 8% get to the finals,
Mm-hmm. In a standard
right?
league.
8%. Like
Yep.
that's your chance, right? To get to the finals. You do what you can to improve those odds, and you never know, right? Like we could very well have one of these backup quarterbacks throw for 280 and 4 touchdowns and kind of come out of nowhere and propel us to a fantasy championship game. Like it's entirely possible. We've seen it before.
You never know
So
when you're going to get a Matt Flynn.
that's right. You never know when you're going to get a Matt Flynn. So it's just trying to hammer down, and you put forth the best possible lineup you can and let the players play.
Absolutely. But yeah, thoughts on that. I don't have any thoughts. I hear that wishing wells are also in season. Shooting stars might be another option there.
You might just need to get a new rosary from your priest. I mean, maybe you just wore off the beads from the first one. I don't know. Like it's
there's a number of options there, and
it's a
I don't know
fickle
that
game.
we're equipped to advise on that one. But
No, it's a
show it.
fickle game.
K-Dog, what's up, boys? Need your help. PPR, need QB. Lamar and Love both out. Got Kirk, Bryce, Ward, Gino, and Malik Willis.
Um,
Is
as
about right.
painful as this is, I think I'm going Malik Willis.
Really? I don't think I could bring myself to do it.
There's no chance in hell I'm playing Kirk Cousins against the Rams
It's fair.
or Bryce Young against the Seahawks. So Cam Ward against the Saints, maybe, but he's terrible. They have zero true receivers on that team. I want zero part of what Tennessee has to offer. And Gino, who's he throwing the ball to? Bowers just left.
He got
Bowers is
all
on
of Trey
IR.
Tucker.
Yep, they got Trey Tucker, they got Ashton Genty, which maybe, but if they keep the ball on the ground, right, then Gino's not doing anything. Like I'd say it's Malik Willis. He has the most pass catchers that you at least trust can do something. And you don't need any one of those pass catchers to be great. You just need all of them to be good.
Fair.
Like it's ugly. It's ugly, but I'm taking Malik Willis.
We'll
see how that looks on Tuesday. We'll see how this call looks on Tuesday. But for right now, Friday night, Saturday morning, Central Time, my time, Saturday morning.
Right.
I'm taking Malik Willis in this.
But at this point, it's
glob of goo.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like the hero call at that point. But I hear you on
Packer
the
delight, man. We just got done talking about Matt Flynn.
You're right. That game did happen with
talking about Matt Flynn, and that happened with the Packers. So
yep.
This might be the Christmas miracle.
There you go. I can't bring myself to do that. I'll probably look at the Bryce Young and hate myself for it come Tuesday. But I'm just kind of looking at that from this. Okay, go ahead.
Who's more likely to get 13 points? This is a low bar, right?
Who
are you taking to get 13 points?
I think I would still take Bryce Young to get at least 13.
Fair enough. But I mean, right? I don't have a great retort other than I'm not doing that.
Fair enough. And part of it
against Seattle right now, I'm just not doing that.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, part of that is his last 3 games, he's cleared the 13-point mark, right? Against the Rams, had a really good showing at 22 points for fantasy there. New Orleans, not so great at 15, and Tampa Bay last week with 17. Like, at least I feel like I've And that may and maybe that's the reason I'm looking at that from a not to lose the position, whereas Malik Willis could potentially go out there and win that deal there. But um yeah, it's a tough one. I don't like any of the options, to be perfectly honest.
So there you go. Bit of a split card for there, K Dog. Derek's saying Bryce. I'm saying Malik.
All right. Derek over on YouTube saying, I'm sure you guys got asked this many times, but Tyler Warren or Taysom Hill this week. I'm really thinking of going with Hill, but I'm getting cold feet.
We for some reason this is absolutely a tandem that has popped up this week big time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I wouldn't go Taysom Hill. Like I would have to be. I would have had to need all sorts of Hail Marys. And if I really need a Hail Mary, then Taysom Hill's my guy. But if I have a puncher's chance, I'm going with Tyler Warren, and I will find a way to make up points somewhere else in my roster. I do not. Taysom Hill has a 2-point floor with a 23-point ceiling. I feel like I just take the 8 to 10 that I'm going to get from Tyler Warren and be happy.
Depending upon your format, Taysom Hill has. Wouldn't surprise me if we. I would actually amend that floor to about a half point.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah, like gets 2 rushing yards, and that's it. 0 targets. Like that's a very real stat line for Taysom Hill. On the flip side,
completes 1 pass for 3 yards. Like it doesn't do anything for you.
Right. Or whereas on the flip side, he could get 15 carries and 50 yards and a touchdown, right? Like
5 carries for 3 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Right. Like it just I I don't like that one there. So I'm right there with you. I'd rather take the Tyler Warren and make it up otherwise if I've got to.
Yeah. So, but if you need a Hail Mary, that's a guy that you can try and get it with.
Absolutely. William saying that they have one less TV in the house because of Bucky.
Amen, brother.
Binkins saying LOL, but I think that's more so to a previous comment than Williams there. Epic saying that they like Bryce in that one actually. So
fair enough.
Everybody's going to be split on that one though. I think if we polled probably 10 people, we'd get 10 different answers. William saying McCaffrey, Irving, Hampton, Waddle, Walker, and Marks non-PPR pick starting McCaffrey, but pick 2, please. So McCaffrey's the smash. I would agree with you there, and then it's pick 2 others out of the options.
Hampton and Walker.
Yeah. Much as I don't like Hampton going up against that Houston defense, I think I'd still go that route. And then the Kenneth Walker side, I feel like that's probably the better bet there as well. On that. Any other thoughts on this one?
No.
All right.
No, I got nothing.
Okay. And then K-Dog saying, yeah, it's rough. Shaking my head. Thank you, guys. You're most welcome.
Yeah, good luck to you, bud.
Absolutely. And I do believe that's going to take us down here to the end of the chat. Any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
One last time, Merry Christmas. Good luck. Ultimately, good luck. Like, good job for grinding it out and putting yourselves in this position. I wish you all the best of luck and hope you come home with every single fantasy championship that you're playing in. And yeah, other than that, we'll be back. We'll be back on Tuesday, right? We'll do a fantasy finals recap. Obviously, we'll touch a little bit on week 18 for those of you weirdos who play week 18 championship games. But for all intents and purposes, this is it. It's our final. This was our final Friday night show. So you guys can find us on Tuesdays. But outside of that, hit us up at our socials at Good Old Boys FF, wherever you consume your social media content. But yeah, hit us up. Let us know. We'll respond just as quickly as we can if you have any more questions. But good season. It's trying season. A lot of obstacles this season, but good season nonetheless.
Absolutely. So That is gonna do it for us tonight. Do appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in again. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button, follow button, wherever you're consuming this content. Really does help us out. As Kevin just mentioned, this was the final Friday Night Lights for 2025. We'll be bringing that one back again here in 2026, and then we do the show year round, all year, every Tuesday. And make sure you're tuning into those ones as well, right? We really start diving in deep into the player analysis side of things during the off season. So, really worth taking a look into those ones as well. And we'll have a lot of fun along the way. So, but that's going to do it for us tonight. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.